Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Georgia Hand Upper Extremity Special Interest Group Orthosis Fabrication Workshop. We are so excited to have Bob Phillips with us from Savannah, Georgia. Those of you who follow Bob on his Instagram, Low Country Hands, you know how talented and skilled Bob is with fabricating orthoses. And those of you who may not be familiar with Bob, you're in for a real special treat. So before we get started, we have some announcements to make. First, membership is open, $35 until February the 28th, and then March 1st, it'll increase to $50. So please go on our website, www.ghuesig.com, and renew your membership. Savannah, we are planning to return to Savannah June 4th and 5th. The host site will be the Embassy Suites, as we had planned this year. So hopefully we'll all be able to go to Savannah and see each other in person. We are planning a couple of courses in January and March. So January, we're going to have naked prosthetics. We do not have the date yet. That's going to be a course with the Zoom platform. So please check the website for the updates for that. And then in March, we are going to have a live stream ethics course. The officers decided to have the ethics course in March this year. Typically, we do have it in November November prior to the renewal year, but we decided to have it early this year. So check the website for the date as well. A special thank you to Performance Health for donating all the materials today and for their continued support of our group. So with the course today, please make sure that you are signing in the chat room. That is the confirmation for your CEU. And we will have a break from 10:30 to 10:45. And if you have any questions, Missy and I will be monitoring the chat rooms, and we can forward those questions to Bob. So ask at any time. And also, if Bob wanted us to announce that if he's going too fast, just let us know, and he can slow down for you, especially if you're in your clinic or at home and you're making the splints with Bob. So that's it for the announcements. And again, thank you for attending this course. And now I'd like to introduce Bob Phillips. Oh, I know, right?
I'll wait till you get set. Mic is cut for a moment. Okay. First time.
How's that sound? We're good? Can I move this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to slide this out of the way. All right, like Rob said, my name's Bob. I'm from Savannah, Georgia. I've been very fortunate to work with a large orthopedic group there. Graduated from the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta in 2011. Seems like forever ago. Been through school change names. I started my career out there, and I've been there ever since. It was great. It allowed me to grow as a therapist, and I work with 9 other hand therapists and 3 orthopedic surgeons that give us a lot of business, sometimes more than we can handle, but it's been a blast. So a little bit about me. About 2 years ago, I met Rob at the Savannah course, and we talked about doing an orthotic class, and then started setting it up, and it was going to be a full-blown, anatomy, diagnosis, how to treat, and then we were going to make them. And then all of a sudden, the world goes through a pandemic. COVID hits, and we just kind of put everything on hold. So I think it was probably 2 or 3 months ago, Rob reached out about doing a quick online course, kind of like a cooking class type thing. Let's just get together on a Saturday, let's make some orthotics, and let's, let them ask questions and just kind of be a little informal. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions. If I don't know it, hopefully Rob or Missy does. So I'll put them on the spot. I've always been told if I feel like I know everything, then I probably need to get out of this. There's always reason to grow. There's always things that I can learn. So we'll start there. We'll go ahead and jump right in since we do have 3. We're going to make a Munster. We're going to do a low-profile radial nerve palsy splint. I absolutely love that one. A lot of people, struggle with it a little bit, but it's really not that bad. And then we're going to do, I believe, maybe a composite flexion for stiff fingers. So it'll be basically a static, a true dynamic, and then more of a static progressive type splint. So we can go ahead and start there, Sam, if you want to come on in. And please ask questions, give us thumbs up, whatever. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Sam. This is Rob's student.
Yeah. This is Samantha Price. She was our student. She's now graduated and passed her boards, and she's going to come work for us.
And who knows, she may be on this side of the table before long. So we'll see. But again, if you have any questions at all, please ask. Give us a thumbs up, some encouragement. I was telling Rob it's a little awkward talking to a camera and not necessarily to a crowd of people to kind of see when we start making this where they are and how they're doing. So we'll go ahead and start there. So for the Munster, you have a Munster that wants to prevent forearm rotation, or you have a sugar tongue. I'm not the biggest fan of a sugar tongue. I don't feel like it does the greatest. It can be hard to make in a clinic, especially if you only have 2 hands. So I typically go more towards the Munster. You can have it connect in the back, or you can have it Velcro so you can tighten down. Those are the 2. I like to use something more of a rigid, kind of like an easy form with this to help prevent motion. So we do want to allow flexion. We want to allow extension to about 30 degrees. Past that, we start to become unstable a little bit, and we want to prevent forearm motion. One of the biggest things that I've noticed with my students, we'll make these, and we'll get in the clinic, and we'll say, okay, can you pronate or supinate? And we'll start doing this. Well, we don't have an injury, so of course we can overpower the material. It's actually supposed to be proprioceptive input to tell them not to do that. So if they're out doing crazy things, it may or may not prevent them from moving. If you're worried about that patient, then definitely maybe just go for a long arm and have them come out and do their exercises. So I'm going to make these the way that I do it. If you have questions at all, or if you have a different way, my way is not absolutely right. I'm not saying yours is wrong. So if your way is the way you like it, that's fine. Just enjoy the day with us, drink your coffee, give us some thumbs up every now and then. Like I said, it's a little awkward standing in front of a camera without a crowd. Sam's here, so she's going to cheer me on. So we'll start there. And Rob and Missy, yes, I'm sorry. So can we swing over here? These are a lot of the different things I like to use in the clinic. I have my little rivet kit. Rivet kit. I got my little fisheye hooks. I believe that's what they're called. I also call them the bra hooks, if that makes any difference. I have this guy right here. I have no idea what it is, but I use it a lot. Different scissors. I have my little homemade anvil. I don't know where it came from. It was in the clinic longer than I am, but I use it a lot, especially with certain types of rivets. That's pretty much it. I got this guy. This saves me a lot of times. It clips onto the edge of the heat gun, so I can just spot heat. That way I'm not heating up way too much of the material, so I like it. And these are some of the elastic components, and we'll talk about those once we get to the next splint. But we'll start there. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll do it for the right side. So a lot of times we're going to use this with maybe a MCL, LCL injury, depending on which one. The doctor may want you in supination, may want you in pronation. If you don't know, go neutral. That's always a safe bet. Could be a TFC injury. The one thing I would definitely say is know your surgeons, because that's you want to make them happy. They're your referral source, and not every surgeon's the same. We have some that are very aggressive. We have some that are very conservative. So definitely know your surgeon, because we have to cater to them as well. So a lot of times I'll come in here. You want to avoid bony landmarks, and we're going to talk about those as we draw it out, but we're going to have the metacarpals. We don't want to put pressure on those. We don't want to put pressure at the base of the CMC, radial styloid, ulnar styloid, on our head, and we definitely want to stay off of the lateral medial epicondyle. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to kind of measure. So let me know if the angle's not good, okay? Slide you back just a hair. 14. All right, so I'm going to measure lengthwise right here, and then I'm going to come around right here, because it's never good when you go to put this on and it kind of folds on the table, if you know what I mean. You've just cut it a little too wide, but you definitely want enough to make it rigid. So 16, 4. All right, so for this purpose, we're going to go ahead, I'm just going to put her in supination. It'll be a little easier from across the table. So all you have to do is hang out right now. But let me grab a little sheet of paper. I use a highlighter a lot in the clinic. I'll turn you right there. So we were talking about those landmarks. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to mark right at the base of the wrist. And then I'm going to come in here, get my web space, and then I'm going to hit my metacarpals. Can you see that pretty good? All right, so I'm going to come out a little bit just to kind of draw my pattern. And pattern is a dirty word in our clinic because a lot of people get caught up on them, but I want it to be with my students when I'm teaching them is, you know, you're not always going to have a pre-cut. There's not always a pattern for every type of situation. So we definitely want to make sure that you can make anything if you can draw it out. Scissors. All right. Go ahead and lift up. So all I'm doing there is just connecting. So it's pretty much just a wrist cock-up base that I'm using. We'll cut it out. Hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I know I ate way too much. We only had 10 people, because that's what the CDC says. And I think we fed an army. So, did you go home or you stay here?
I went home to see my dad, and
Okay, nice.
he was expecting to have a few more people too, so we had a
so
between 5 of us.
Normally, if you know me, we normally go to the mountains for Thanksgiving, and I normally have about 70 people. So it's quite a few. We toned down a little bit. All right, so I'm going to have her spin it right there. All right. So I'm feeling pretty good about the fit of this right here. So then I just remember the length. And it's a very, very easy transition once you get there. It's a very quick, easy design, actually. So 12, I'm going to go 14. We'll stick that right there. I'm going to grab this should work. It's thin. All right. There we go. Can everybody hear us okay out there?
Can you see the shot again?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yes, that looks good, yeah. All right. So I'm going to come in here. So I'm going to trace this out. I don't fully trace it necessarily. I just kind of give myself a little bit of an idea of where I'm going to go. All right. I know that's a little tough to see.
You can use a black highlighter.
That's.
Black
Do we have a Sharpie somewhere so I can?
I saw a Sharpie in the back. Okay.
Sorry about that. But again, all I did is I set it down, I traced it using the wax pencil, and just carried it out. And is what we're going to do is we're going to end up making a U shape in here. And when we put it on, we're just going to tack it around the back side. It's, like I said, fairly simple, especially when we go in supination. So I really like this design for that. Again, when I'm doing more of a neutral, I like to go just straight over top. It'll be more like this. And we have this guy so we can tighten it down in the back. The patient can really reach. This was not made on me, obviously. They can really reach and just kind of cinch it down to get it a good fit. And again, it's not, if they really, really try, they can pronate and supinate some, but it's definitely going to protect them. So let's use this. So I'll be the first to tell you that if you don't know me, also, I really love doing this. And I will say that I don't like for anything to leave the clinic that isn't pretty. And I'm sure most of you might feel the same way. But it is also your work going into the community, and the patient, there's also that aspect of, is it aesthetically pleasing? They don't want to wear something out in public that doesn't necessarily look good. And that could play into the adherence. If a patient doesn't wear it, it's not going to do good sitting in the car or at home. And if it comes back looking like a cup holder, it kind of gives you a good idea of where that splint's been, or orthosis, sorry. So these are just shears. It's an older pair that we use in the clinic. All right, so we're right here. We'll set this to the side. All right. So we got our pattern right there. Is that good? Can you see that? Zoom out just a hair, maybe. There you go. So I have my pattern. I didn't trace it all the way, but that's what I start with. And then, can I move this, Rob?
Oh, yes.
This guy.
Yep.
You're good. Hopefully the marker doesn't come off. There we go. All right, we're going to drop it down in there and let it cook a little bit. And I'm going to steal this towel. All right. Do y'all make a lot of these, Rob, Missy?
Not too many.
Not too many. We haven't made many. They kind of come in threes. That's what we like to joke about. Let's see. I don't have a particular time limit I put these guys in. I know that there's numbers out there, but I just try to get it soft enough to where I can come in and cut. And I lost my scissors. All right.
So Bob, I have a question.
Go ahead.
For the neutral design, is the posterior elbow piece just a separate U shape attached with Velcro?
The posterior elbow piece? No, it's one full. So here, it's one full solid thing. So it wraps around. So it just depends on the patient. If I feel like they need a little more support and they don't have a lot of swelling in the beginning, then I may not even put this Velcro piece. I may tack that together and it'd be one solid piece. And then they could actually come into the splint like that. So it's just one solid piece. I have seen them. I've made them in the past where it's basically just the wrist cock up, and then you just fabricate that U shape around and Velcro it, and then you can kind of cut it down later or pull that piece off. I know people use it a lot. I feel like we talked about it's not the most stable splint, and I feel like that kind of, it doesn't give it as much support. So I don't necessarily do that. If you do and you get great results with it, that's awesome, but I just normally do it this way because they can kind of control it. Let's see. All right, so we're going to finish cutting.
Somebody asked about your Instagram account.
What about it?
Several people.
Yeah.
So like what it is, or
Country.
so if you have Instagram, it's at Low Country Hands. It's just something me and one of the therapists in Savannah started probably 2 or 3 years ago, I think, and it was really just for fun. And started posting stuff kind of the way we do things because, you kind of get in a rut, or if you work in a clinic by yourself, you don't really have ideas to bounce off of other people. And so we started that, and all of a sudden, it started blowing up. People, honestly, from all over the world started asking questions, and they started responding, and it's been a whirlwind, actually. And sorry for those that do follow, I have not posted much lately. But yeah, anytime on there, please ask questions. We try to interact as much as we can. All right, so set that over here. Let me see this. So come in here. So I'm going to measure. I don't want to get too much on that elbow crease. Just switch it just a little bit. I don't want to get too much right here because if I butt up here, when she goes to bend, she's going to come back and tell me that she's sore in there, that she hurts. But I also don't want to be way down here because I do want to give that lateral support so when we are here that she can't just overpower because there's nothing right here. And I did all that and didn't even measure. So go by 10. It's getting a little tough to work with. Yeah, so for all of you that do follow, thank you very much. We enjoy it. Like I said, we love the interaction, the feedback. I'd be the first to tell you I don't know. I don't know the answer to every question, so I will get back to you. I will find somebody, or sometimes I'll farm the answer out, or honestly, in the past, I've also done a poll. If I don't know it, that's what we're going to do. We're going to reach out and we're going to find out. All right, so we're doing that side. So I am a roller before application.
Samantha, you got a shout out from the class today.
Look at there.
Hey.
Doing big things.
Absolutely.
From Valerie Martinez. Yeah.
What's up, Valerie?
Well, we're glad that she joined in. We're glad all of y'all joined in. I will say, having to use the Sharpie, I'm a little disappointed in the black marks on there. Like I said, I like for things to look a certain way, so we'll see if we can disguise it a little bit. I thought it would too. Pen does. She asked if it would come off in the splint pen, and I was telling her that pen definitely will. All right. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to roll this around. All right, so for those of you that do have patterns in the clinic, you can just take that radio bar, wrist cock up, throw it on a sheet of paper, and just extend it down. Cut a hole so it's pretty quick that way. If not, and you're teaching a student and you just don't have the luxury of that, then you can draw it out. All right, you ready? So we may be able to get it right here and not have to go around. So what we'll do is I'm going to get you to supinate, maybe pull around. Ideally, I won't be on this side of the table kind of going around, but we'll do it because I think it'll be a pretty good shot right there. Is your classmate in doing hands as well?
She's really interested in it. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if
Ask her.
she's... Yeah.
Valerie Martinez.
You know, those hand people, they're a different breed, you know.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to kind of check that, make sure it's not too hot. All right, go ahead. There you go. Is that too hot on you? All right. So I'm going to come right in here. And I try not to use a whole lot of, go ahead and bend that elbow just a hair. Straighten it out just a little. Okay. Bend it just a little more. And again, I can't see around there. We're staying up back there. It's okay. We'll get it. So this is easy form. It's a little more rigid. Want to be mindful of those condyles. And you can always add padding. Also, we don't want to immobilize something that shouldn't be immobilized. So go ahead, can you make a fist? So there, we're not crossing that MP joint. You feel okay? Mm-hmm. Always try to tell my students, you know, try not to be finger heavy, more palm heavy, because it doesn't leave those big indentions. You know, that's just something I think that comes with time.
Bob, what material are you using?
This is easy form. It doesn't drape quite as well as some of the others, but it is a little more rigid. That's why I used it with her, because we're trying to protect her.
Okay. Oh.
almost there. I feel like we should have some background music for the cooling time, you know?
Another question, Bob.
Go ahead.
Is it okay to place the patient in supination if they are post-op?
It depends on what the injury is. So, yeah. So, again, like I said, if you don't know what the injury is, the best position is probably going to be forearm neutral. But, like, if it's a TFC, a lot of times our surgeons want them in supination. If it's an MCL, you want them in supination so we can have the muscles help stabilize the joint. If it's a LCL, then we're going to probably go pronation. It just really depends on the surgeon's preference. For this, I just thought it'd be a little easier because of the table. What's that?
Did you mention a specific diagnosis?
I told him we were going to do it in supination. So a lot of time with this one, in our clinic, we're seeing a lot of TFC peripheral repairs. So they're going to come in, generally they're in a post-op, long dressing, they're in forearm supination, or they're supposed to be because the doctor's note says they are. Doesn't always happen that way. And we're going to come in and we're going to build the same thing. You know, if you don't know, it is always a safe bet to usually put them in the same position you take them out of. He put them in, you know, where he wants them. So for this particular one, it could be that or it could be an MCL. Like I said, if it's both involved, maybe we had a bad elbow injury, then I'm probably going to go forearm neutral to protect both sides.
Someone asked if you could please show the draping around the elbow joint.
Okay. Can we... All right, you're good right there. So it's coming around here. Let me see if I can go ahead and just right there. She's going to slide out. So it looks like this in the beginning, just where they pull across. And again, we can cut it, tack it down, or we can do the Velcro piece. I'm going to walk back around. So all I do is I don't get them in full 90 degrees, mainly because I do want them to get a little bit of extension. I don't want them to go to extend and they kind of hit that roadblock. If that's the case, then we could just put them in a long arm, have them unstrap and do flexion. I do want them to get some kind of extension. But the other piece to that is it's more of a natural carrying angle to be down here. Up here, we start getting the shoulder stiffness. I find that most of my patients, if they're at least here, they kind of let it be a normal hand, normal arm. So.
Couple more questions.
Okay.
What position would you use for ECU subluxation instability? Pronation?
Is that the question, or like? Well, so Dr. Kolovich likes them to be in neutral for that. Again, I think it's going to be depending on what the surgeon wants, but you know, we're talking about a repair. What are we talking about? Is it just subluxation? I think a lot of that plays a part in it. I would definitely, like I said, Dr. Kolovich, the one that we work closely with, Dr. Farmer, they like it in neutral. So I would find that out. You're going to be safe in that bet. Was there another one you said?
Okay. How would you make the cut out if you need them in neutral, being that the dorsal surface is open?
Say that one more time.
So how would you make the cutout if you need the patient in neutral?
Like for this particular splint?
Yes.
So I make the cutout. So if I'm going to trace her, I'm going to take my napkin. Here, I'll show you really quick. I'm still going to measure that lengthwise, but I'm going to take my napkin. I'm going to cut a hole. I'm going to place my thumb in there, and then I'm going to come around and I'm going to trace. Still, we're going to stay with those. We're going to stay off of the metacarpal heads right there. We're going to come in. Then we're going to do the same thing. We don't want it to be more radial side because we do need some rigidity to it. So I'm going to trace it like this, and I'm still going to come out and I'm going to make the same kind of cut, that U-shaped cut, as I did, as you can tell right here. So it's really just, all I'm doing is just changing this part of it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, if I don't answer the question fully, ask it again. Sometimes my brain doesn't work early. All right. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to trim some things up. And then, as I talked about earlier, this guy right here is great. Can toss it on there. I can spot heat. But as you can see, we talked about not getting that 90-degree angle. You got a little bit right here, so that way they can kind of extend some, and it's not cutting right into the back of the arm. And a lot of times I'll put a little pad up here. This is that Delta Cast stuff. It works great. I like it better than moleskin. It just sticks better. It is a workload to get off, especially. I think it's called Ghuesig maybe in the clinic, so that really helps a lot. But it also helps if you do this particular design and you're pulling, it helps it slide. Sometimes the material doesn't slide as well when that's not on there. Gives it a nice little finish.
Somebody asked, where did you get the spot heater attachment?
I have no idea. It showed up before I did.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't seen one in any other clinic, honestly. It's definitely, I think if you look at Performance Health, I think it has the pieces. I mean, it's not a homemade thing. It's got a number on it. So, again, with any of this stuff, as long as Rob reminds me, I can kind of make a list of all the things that I've used, possibly with the different, materials. We'll try to get the numbers. And if you see something you like, we'll get you to where you can order it.
Somebody made a comment, your poor CNC joint.
My poor CMC? Oh. Do as I say, not as I do.
I don't know if they heard me make that statement. So.
Probably so. Luckily, right now I don't have pain. I probably will. I left my shears in Savannah that I normally use, but I'm okay. I promise.
I have some as well. Someone joined a little later.
Okay.
How do you determine the length?
So the length, I'll measure basically from the CMC joint down, and I'll come to either lateral condyle, and then I'll just add an inch or two. I can always cut away. I can't always add to. So I like to give myself a little room to play with.
And can you repeat how to measure the U-cut for the elbow crease?
Okay.
And rewind feature is available for them if they
What
need
is
to.
that?
The rewind feature is available. It's set to be available if they need to rewind for the live streamers.
So to make the U-cut piece is what I normally do is after I make the fold here, I'll measure from the base of the metacarpal head. So right here, be easier to show you. I'll measure from here to here, and I'll take off about an inch, maybe two at the most, because I'm going to roll it a little bit. So I like to give myself a little room. Again, I can always cut away. I can roll more, but I can't add to. I don't want to make something nice and then all of a sudden have to go back and redo it. All right. I feel like I should be singing y'all a song right now or something. Singing them a song or something right now.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
announcement later.
We were talking. Have what now? Oh yeah, the entertainment in Savannah. Yeah, could be. Who knows? Not with COVID,
That's right.
but
That's all right.
I definitely do not have a singing voice. I missed all that talent in my family. So, can you still see good?
Can see well.
One thing that kind of drew me towards hands was I was a little bit of an artsy kid. I actually applied to SCAD in Savannah. I definitely wasn't good enough to get in. I did get in, but I knew that I wasn't going to be great, and honestly couldn't tell you what I wanted to do. I just like to design things, develop. So I kind of fell across hand therapy when I had a shoulder injury. I tore the TheraBand that I had, and so I showed up at a clinic one day in Statesboro when I was in school at Georgia Southern, and I was there to just get some new TheraBand, and they were like, "Hey, are you here for volunteer hours?" Sure. Volunteer for what? I didn't know. So I just started volunteering. Really enjoyed hands, and it just kind of went from there. But then, she started making these splints, or as we call them today, these orthoses, and my mind just started turning. The wheels started turning. I've always been kind of a biomechanical-minded brain, and I just really enjoy that aspect. And so I was sat down and I started talking to the therapist, and she says, if you can dream it up, you can make it. And so I try to teach all of my students that because, I know maybe even you, Sam, when you first come in, it can be intimidating. Even just a static splint can be intimidating, just a wrist cock-up or a thumb spica. So, I always try to say, the worst thing that can happen is we have to redo it. So don't be scared of it. Please play around. I'm not very ashamed of it, but I do have a splint pan in my garage. So me and, make sure it's not hot anywhere, me and my wife will sit outside, go ahead, and maybe have an adult beverage to kind of calm the nerves, and I just start making things. She's always my model. All right, let's come up right there. That's not fully there. All right, can you bend up? Is that getting you a little bit?
A little bit. Not
A little
too
bit?
bad.
So she said it's getting her a little bit, so I can even come in here and we can roll that a little more. Let me see you straighten that arm out. So see, she can get pretty far there. I'm going to pull you out of it again. All right. Again, don't touch this. This gets extremely hot. Sam, you had one job. Sam had one job to tell me to shut the splint pan, and we haven't even made the first hour. So I'm just bubbling this in the back just a little bit because she had a little point on the back of that elbow that I didn't like. I don't know if she felt it, but I didn't like it. And to finish these up, you can go around and smooth all these edges. That's perfectly fine. But a lot of times I'll take that Delta Cast material. It just feels good on the patient.
Oh, for edging with trim?
Yeah, for the trim.
Oh, that's nice.
It just turns out beautiful. You don't have to worry about it. It's a little bit of a time saver. I have strips cut in the clinic, so I just come and just whip it on really quick. And, I don't do that for all of them, but something like this that they're going to be in pretty much all the time, I'll normally do that. I don't do a lot of Delta casting, but I do use that. All right.
Somebody asked, can you make the splint to allow for full elbow extension?
You can. It's not ideal. Well, depending on the injury. But a lot of times, the more extension we get, the more unstable the elbow gets. So if we're trying to preserve something or protect, possibly like an LCL, then you don't want to go really past 30 right there in the beginning anyway. I do want full flexion or almost full flexion. I want to stay kind of in that functional range that they say.
Bob, is there a formula to how high you come up the back to get the desired fit and not popping out of the split?
No, not necessarily, because I'm going to strap through here like this and right here. And pretty much, that's just kind of there to prevent that forearm rotation. I want it to kind of move with the arm. I don't want to prevent that elbow from not being able to flex. I do get kind of close. I'll show you when we strap. But no, I don't do anything back here. I've seen some in the past where they'll make basically like a long arm, and they'll just cut it down really short and strap across, and it kind of helps. I just feel like it kind of butts in a little more. All right. So we have sticky scissors in the clinic. I don't know if everybody's like that. I'm a little, Sam, again? I'm a little OCD about it. So I'll start there. We have... Let's see. Oh, we do have some more. I'll come over here and do it. So, it's just a guesstimate on these. I'm very big on rounding edges. One, it looks nice. Two, it makes it a little harder for it to peel up. And it's just a quick wrist motion. Is everybody doing okay out there? We moving too slow, too fast? Stop telling stories? What do you need me to do? All right. Have you made any of these before?
Not.
Someone said yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Stop telling stories. Okay.
Ask Tony, so do you need me to stop telling stories?
Yes. Do I need to be quiet and just work, or what are we doing?
So they can't hear me ask the question?
Okay. So repeat the question. Okay.
Right.
Got it. Sorry, this is my first time doing a, I guess a video. What do we call them? It's not a vlog. It's a live stream. Yeah.
So Bob, do you have flexibility with your schedule, or are you limited to 30-minute time frames and multitasking patients while you were making your Ghuesigs?
Okay. So somebody asked about the time frame. Do I have flexibility? 30-minute blocks, or am I able to kind of multitask? I do pretty good at multitasking. We actually moved to 45-minute time blocks because of COVID, so we can be a little more one-on-one. We're not crossing over patients. We have tables that are set up pretty similar to this, 3 spaced out in the clinic. So we do, we don't have a lot of crossover, but if I'm going to make something like this, I'm usually moving a little faster than this. And if I know they're coming in, then I can kind of almost have like my strapping and everything kind of ready to go. So like this would take me probably about 25 minutes in the clinic, maybe. It just depends. Depends on what we run into. I mean, if they're very painful, very stiff, very sore, it may take a little longer. Sometimes it takes a long time just to get the post-op dressing on because the doctor really wants it on there. It's almost like cutting through a cast.
Someone said they usually use a posterior strap, but they love yours.
The posterior strap?
No, they use a posterior strap, but they like your...
Oh, okay. Well, great. We helped somebody today. So I'm going to cut those. So I'm going to trim this one down. I always feel like it's kind of arts and crafts time when I start doing things. But I enjoy it, so that's all that matters. So I like to do a hole punch on the back side right here. I always feel that it always just pulls off. So I got my little rivet set. It's actually for fishing. It's supposed to have lures and stuff in it, but we're going to use it for this today. All right. So I'm going to come up through the bottom. How are we doing on time, Rob?
Good.
We're good? Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that I'm not the holdup. All right, so see, you got that. So when they pull on that, it does pretty good. When I first started out, I'd put a little piece of Velcro right here thinking, oh, it looks great, and then it just come right off. They'd come in and say, hey, this isn't working anymore. So I say, okay. All right, so we're going to go in like this. There you go. Bend that elbow a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to let her get situated. Does that feel okay right there? Bend that elbow just a hair. There you go. So I'm going to come across. I'll make a little cut there. Again, we round the edges in Savannah.
What was that?
So we round the edges in Savannah. We teach the students to do that as well. If they don't, I always tell them I'm going to fell them, but I actually probably tell my student I'm going to fell her every day. She knows I'm joking, but I do. Whenever I have a student, I like to push them a little bit. So I feel like it's good. It's good for the soul. All right. So we're going to come in about right here. A lot of times I'll take these. I'll just use the heat gun, come up here, heat the adhesive up on the back, put them in. It helps it stick a little better, or I have found that it helps stick a little better. You caught me. I didn't do it just then. That doesn't feel too tight, does it?
Feels good.
Everybody still doing okay out there? If I look a little shaky, I drank a lot of coffee this morning. I was telling Rob I got in late last night. We had a standstill on I don't know what road. I don't know any roads up here, but we got in late, so I am a little tired. All right. So go ahead and flex. And I haven't added any padding or anything right now. All right, so just easy. So see, it stops her about right there. Kind of holds her still. So I would come in and I would start looking at this. Like if that got her right there, then I'm going to roll that up a little bit for her. And then one thing I will do sometimes is I'll come in right back here and I'll take, I don't know the name of this, I just call it blue foam. So I'll take some of this and just pad right through here. Honestly, I haven't had a lot of issues with irritation there. Do y'all ever have that issue with
Irritation.
Yes, I love your mask, by the way. I like that. With irritation on the condyles from making these, let's get this out of the way. So, I may let it go. I would line it. I can line it if you want me to. I don't know if I brought enough stuff. I just kind of brought it to show. So, it's just blue. I normally just take it and I'll cut it all the way down. And then I'll just come through here and line those rough edges instead of taking the time. And that also helps cut down on that time slide. If I know I have a patient like this, I will try to avoid booking them with somebody who is more hands-on or, hopefully another eval just like it. So I will try to avoid doing that. Any questions on this one? So see, I don't go around the back. This one I just left solid. I would go and smooth that down, but for time purposes, I'm not going to do that. I'll show you. Go ahead and reach out of there. So ideally, I'd go and tack that down really good so it doesn't go anywhere. Put the pad up here, and like I said, you can come down in here, widen that out a little bit for the condyles if needed. It may not ever need it.
Maybe tack it down where, Bob?
So can you see right there?
Yep.
So this seam right here, I would take that handy dandy thing. Right here I could spot heat with. Right here, let's go ahead and do it. We have time. I am also the world's messiest. So
It works, it works.
It's a chaotic mess, but I kind of know where things are. And if you see me looking around in here, it's not my clinic, obviously, so I do lose track of things. So, all right. So let's see. So you can see that edge right there. So sometimes that'll pop loose. So what I'll do is I'll come in here and we're heating. Again, me and Rob talked and we kind of wanted this to be more of an intimate setting. So any questions you have, there's no dumb question. The only dumb question is the one that wasn't asked, so my dad says. So please ask questions. Don't feel like it's, that we're going to laugh because I may not know the answer. Let's see. Is this your second level too?
I'm already graduated.
What?
Yeah.
When did you graduate?
Licensing.
What?
I finished up my level 2 with Rob in August.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and I believe we just had a class, that just passed their CHT, so congratulations if that was you. Congratulations on passing your exam.
Thank you.
So I'm sure it was crazy studying for any of those and taking. Did you go to a testing center? Is that how that worked?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had it really well spaced out.
Okay, good.
Getting kudos on the live stream, Bob.
Good.
Somebody said Bonder.
Bond. Oh, yes. They're talking about the clear liquid. Somebody asked about Bonder. Yes, I do use that a lot. It is. I love it. Just make sure you're ready to stick it where it's going to go, or you're going to have a little trouble. But yes, no, that stuff's great. I use it all the time.
Somebody asked Delta Cast for the edges.
Yes, the Delta cast for the edges. I love it. We have moleskin or mole stick, actually moleskin and mole stick in the clinic, and I find that the Delta cast, it just, I don't know if it's a different kind of glue, but it just sticks better. So, see, I can't see are we good right there? So you see the seam right there?
Yeah, that's good.
And then I would continue up through here, and even on the inside, I would continue that to make it nice and smooth. And so that mole stick, I believe it's called, is thicker than the moleskin or the Delta, but also not as thick as the blue. So I'll use that around the back of the elbow, and it's pretty easy to change out. Any questions on this guy? Did we move too fast? Do you need to finish up?
It's going to take me 25 seconds to hear that.
Okay, all right. First job, congrats. So there's one, and that one we tacked the back. This one, again, all I did was just, instead of tacking that down, I just popped it, made it nice and round. Don't let me catch on fire. And put a rivet in it so the patient can pull. And I always go from the medial side so they can pull this way, because sometimes this gets a little hard, especially if they have a little bit bigger upper arm.
Yeah, someone asked, can you show the medial side of the elbow? And is there a possibility that the back part could put pressure on the ulnar nerve?
Is there a possibility that it could? I usually avoid that.
Yeah.
There you go. Bend that elbow just a hair. Well, I guess let's restate that. Yes, there's always a possibility.
Am I seeing what needs to be seen here?
No, I'm just feeling right now. There's always a possibility that there could be pressure on it. So I could add a pad there, but as far as underneath goes, can you slide out so we can show? So see, there's not anything really touching down here. So she can extend. I left enough room there. So see, that's where I was talking about it was hitting a little bit, so we could bubble that out a little bit. Do you feel that at all?
It feels good.
So, I mean, I may not even mess with it in another time saver. But if it does bother her, a quick pad or bubble would help with that.
So you were able to fit this one in the width of the sheet, right?
Yeah, so I lost my sheet. Right here. Yeah, so I just took it, and it was, I guess if we go long way, it was the short way. What we call it, hamburger style. If we're folding. So the sheet's usually about this long. I just cut that slither off right there. And again, I measured from basically the metacarpals all the way to the epicondyle, and then I add a little bit to give myself some room to play with. And that usually ends up, again, I don't remember, I think it was like 14, I think we said. Yeah. So we got it right at 14. See, if we go this way, I mean, it goes all the way up to 18. So normally I'll just cut the whole sheet because there's not a lot that I'm going to do with that last little bit. In the clinic, I may use it because I'll use finger sleeves and stuff like that with it. But yeah, you can make 2, 3, maybe 4 out of a sheet like this. So this is easy form. Again, it's rigid. This is, I believe, the 1/8. So it doesn't look as rigid when you have it like this, but when you start getting those troughs and everything, I mean, you see I can't bend that. So that just gives more rigidity to it. Again, it's not going to drape nearly as much as something like a tailor, like this one. It just kind of conforms and drapes a little better. I really like it a lot. And Missy, you said polyform you like?
I like, but it's very drapey.
Yeah, so if you're I guess willing to take a chance, the polyform. So those are 2 of those. And again, any questions, if we move on to the next one and you have a question, just stop me.
So 2 quick questions.
Okay.
Did you say Delta stick?
Oh, mole stick. Mole stick. So it looks just like, it comes in like a, and we get it from Performance. It comes in like a big roll, looks like a paper towel roll. And like I said, it's probably a third of thickness of that, and it's usually tan. And I believe it's called mole stick. And like I said, I'll get that for Rob. We'll send that out. Sometimes this is a little too bulky, and sometimes this isn't enough.
That's what they want to know about.
This is the Delta Cast. Yeah, it's the Delta. I don't know what it's called. I just know it's the Delta Cast liner.
Yeah.
So, but it's just like I said, it just seems better quality than the mole skin. which is pretty much the same thickness. It just sticks better and honestly just feels better. Feel that. I mean, that's great stuff. I love it. I always try to keep it. And again, it's a nice finish. You know, if you came and lined your edges with this, I mean, it's just a nice finish. All right. So
And what charge code do you use?
Oh, all right. So normally I will use, I believe, y'all are getting me on this because they're all programmed in my computer. I believe it's L3702, I believe is the one I use. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does that sound right? L3702. Normally I have a charge sheet that I normally have, but I think that's the one that I use.
That's the long arm wrist.
Yeah, normally, so because it's in my,
It's okay.
It's all right, Bob.
yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have it pulled up. But
It's here too.
yeah, normally I have it all programmed in my computer as a cheat sheet. So I'm sorry about that. I can get back to you though.
Look it up. I have it in mind.
Thank you. I'm sorry. So any more questions on that one? This is that sugar tongue we talked about. This one can be very tricky to make at times, especially if your patient can't move around a lot. Honestly, I get my patients to, if they can, if they're younger, if they can move around, I'll have them lay on a mat, prone. We'll just come off the side of the mat with the elbow hanging down, and I'll come and I'll drape it across the back. That way, the elbow, this is not made on her, but that way the elbow, is not bad. So ideally it'd be kind of like this. She'd be hanging off the mat. And so gravity's pushing that way. If you don't have that in the clinic or they can't really, you can take the ACE bandage, try to slap it on really quick, wrap it up. Again, it's not very pretty. I don't like the marks in it. So if I can't get a patient, if they're immobile and they can't lay down or they're just in so much pain, then I'll normally just shout at one of the other therapists and have them come so I have 4 hands instead of 2. So this one's kind of wrapped the same way, nothing around the back. Come through the palm, and then so we have a strap both sides. But again, I just feel like it gives more room for play because again, it's like the sugar tongue. I mean, I guess that's where it's got its name. But I like the rigidity of that more. And with all of these, when you evaluate a patient, please find out what their daily tasks are, find out what they do, because what works for her may not work for the next one. They may need something more rigid, and I kind of found that out the hard way with mallet finger splints. So, it just depends on their daily needs is what I'm going to do. No 2 people are going to be the same even with the same diagnosis.
So the L code, 3702.
Yeah, 3702. That's what I thought it was, but I can throw you a wrong L code without looking at my sheet too. I have been known to do that, and a lot of times when I'm going to make something like this, if I don't know what I'm going to do, then I may give 2 different L codes depending, and let them get both authorized, and then we'll go from there. I like to have them authorized beforehand. Then there's no hiccup, there's no surprise to the patient. So, are we good on this one? Does anybody have any questions? So this is a static, designed to immobilize. This one does allow mobilization of the elbow, forearm. The forearm is stabilized, and the wrist is also stabilized because definitely, we have our proximal radial joint and our distal radial joint. We have to immobilize the wrist to account for that distal. I think that's it. What's that?
There are no questions.
Okay.
No more questions.
All right, I'm going to stick these out of the way and grab some fuel. So, told Rob I normally have a PowerPoint, so if you see me glancing at the computer, it's just kind of my talking points. All right, so, it's radial nerve palsy. We'll save that one. All right, we'll do the radial nerve one last. Is that okay? Okay. All right, so I like to do so we did a static, so now we're talking about like a static progressive. A lot of times what we battle in the clinic is stiff fingers. It can be that Barbie hand that you get, you get your patient, they come in, Barbie hand. I call it a Barbie hand. So they have their distal radius fracture and they come in and they're always like this. It looks like a Barbie hand. They don't have any, I guess I'm the only one that uses that term. So I try to tell them, just let it be normal, but we have to also think about, the old adage is true, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we have that mapping in the brain that I think is called the homunculus, and the hand's represented, very well on there. And if we don't use it, we start to get what we call smudging, and that normal movement pattern begins to diminish. And what happens? It just continues to diminish because we're not using it. We're going into a full-blown Barbie effect. So normally they're in a wrist cock up. So let's see what we have. All right, so we got our tailor. We'll stick that right there. All right, so normally, you can make either with the hole or the radial bar. Normally I just do the radial bar. Making it with the hole's fine for a wrist cock up. So this is something I may add later in treatment. So they start out, they have a distal radius fracture. We're gonna immobilize that. So we start out with a static, but later in my treatment, down the road, we start to develop stiff fingers. I may transition to this because there's usually swelling involved. If they have a Barbie hand, they're not bending the fingers, and I always show my patients and my student, I'll take their other hand, and you've got this loose skin back here, and it's there for a reason. So can you see that pretty good? So you got that loose skin. Go ahead and make a fist. So it pulls out. So if they're not making a fist, guess what happens back there? Oh, one more time. So you've got loose skin, some of us more than others, and go ahead and make a fist. See how that pulls right out? Well, that acts as a pump to push fluid out of our hands. So we all know that edema is not good for us. It just kind of just pushes the whole stiffness to an even more severe level, and then in return, just kind of continues with that pattern of remapping in the brain to learn a whole new motor pattern. Then we just end up being like basically what I call a metacarpal puller versus using the long flexors. So I want to get my edema down. I may use like a wrap. I use crush bags. I don't know if anybody else uses crush bags. So I'll take sponges, cut them up, put them in a stockinette, put it across the back, and I'll wrap it just to get that down. They're going to work on active range of motion, passive range of motion. But if we can't get there, then I'm going to give them some help. I'm going to give them basically me at home. So we're going to start. I need my other napkin. And if you have pre-cuts in the clinic, there's nothing wrong with using those. They're great. Great time saver. So again, we're going to come in here. I'm going to check my metacarpals because we definitely want the fingers to move. If I come up too high right here and I can't bend there, well, of course I'm going to get stiff because I'm blocking it. So I want to make sure that we clear that. So I got my angle there. I've got my wrist crease here. And then I'm going to draw kind of my thumb. All right. So a good rule of thumb is to go about 2/3 of the forearm. But again, just like we talked earlier, you don't want to have it flimsy. So this is a smaller piece, but here, this will be good. So if it's flat, I know this is not a great representation, but go ahead and turn over for me. If it's more volar and not coming up the sides, then it's not going to provide a lot of stability. So again, when we conform, make that forearm trough, we end up getting a lot more stability. I can't bend that. So you definitely want to make sure you come up the sides of the forearm as well, and you just want to make sure that we avoid those bony landmarks.
So Bob, someone commented she remembers you talking about crush bags at one of the conferences.
Yes.
Remind me, do you put it under a splint, or how do you have the patient use it?
Okay, so I don't think I have any here. So the splint does. Okay, so she asked. I spoke at a conference and talked about the crush bag and using it for edema. So she asked if I use it under the splint or how do I use it. So I'll take the different density sponges. I think we just order them from Patterson or Performance. Sorry, yeah. And I'll take like the yellow and the pink, and I'll cut them up very fine, small pieces, different sizes, and I'll take a stockinette, fill them in there, probably 2 inches maybe. And I'll staple the sides down. And so then I'm going to place it on the back of the hand right here. And then I'm going to take and just do like a circumferential, almost like a figure 8 edema wrap. I'm going to start, and I'm going to come around the fingers. Do we have any wrap? Like a gauze, like a 2-inch gauze or something?
Yeah, I think it's in the card, yes, right there.
That's the we can show this part. I didn't know if they had like the clean. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
It's okay. I'll make this work.
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'll fill this bag. And I'll come in, fold it over. I'll staple that side shut. Do the same over here. Fold it over, staple that side shut. Then I have it about that wide, and I put it right here because that's where our edema is going to happen. It's never really on the palmar side. This is where it happens. So if we have a lot of edema, we start to develop more scar tissue. We start to develop adhesions. It's just not our friend. So what I'll do is I'll put it here, and then I don't have... I'm going to cut a little bit of this, okay?
What's that?
So, all right. So this is my cling for now, okay? So I'm going to come in here, and I would wrap around the wrist. I'd come up across through the web space and then come back around the wrist. And I would do that for all the fingers to put a little pressure on that bag. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that help?
So that's with no splint, then you just do.
Yeah, so I do that, but then the splint's going to go on this side, so they can wear it with the splint on.
Cool.
Okay, so I may do that dorsal strap through here. It may be loosely fit a little bit depending on where that crush bag is. But then as they're able to move their fingers while they are in the splint, it will help push that fluid out. And you know, they're supposed to be doing their home exercise program as well, so we'll see how that goes. If that doesn't answer, please let me know. I'll try to give a better demonstration of that. So we're here. There we go. So we got it right there. All right, go ahead and lift up. So it kind of looks like that. Can you see that? Yeah. So it looks like that. And again, a lot of times in the clinic, I'm really not drawing these out. I'll just kind of take a peek at her hand and say, okay, I know about how wide I need it, and I just know the pattern, so I'll draw it. But this is how I teach our students to do it. And again, if this way you don't like it, it's okay. It will not hurt my feelings. I think everybody should be creative in their own way, and I think OTs are very creative people, or they can be. I think sometimes some of us need to be tapped into a little more than others. But, you know, again, my way is not the only way. And a lot of this, you know, you find out quickly what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I'm sure you found that out working with Rob.
Somewhat. I still need some practice.
Yeah, so, you know, when I have a student, I want them to develop and I want them to grow, but I also don't want them to necessarily be a cookie cutter design of me. So I want them to have some freedom to do what they do. All right, so we're going to come here. I'm going to check this out. And so I know, I'll tell my student, okay, this is just paper so it doesn't conform that great. But I know I want about another 2 inches, so I'll write a 2. Can you see that? So I know when I trace it, when I transfer it over, I know I need to go a little wider that way. If I find out my trough isn't wide enough, which I think this is maybe a little too wide, then I'll also make another mark. I may come out here and say, you know, 1 inch. That way when I trace it and it carries over, I can account for what I didn't have here. Again, I can always cut away, but I can't add to. All right, Sharpie. All right, so just reading what it is. So we got Taylor. All right. I'm sure everybody today is planning on coming to Savannah, right? Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Someone made a comment, kinesio tape does also work very well in reducing edema over the dorsum of the...
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I use that a lot as well. Sorry. So the kinesio tape, somebody commented that kinesio tape works great over the dorsum of the hand. I use that as well. It works great. It depends on the integrity of the skin and how my patient is, whether I'm going to use one or the other. And I've also used both at the same time. I have no research showing that helps, but it seems to work. So I have used both at the same time. But if somebody is not going to respond well to that adhesive being on the back of their hand, then I may not use that. I may just go straight for the crush bag. All right. So.
And then 2 people mentioned KT tape. They said it's
Yes.
also.
All right. I know my joints.
And we got a comment. Looking forward to the Savannah Forest.
Yes. Me too. Welcome to my city.
Go away COVID.
Having a party.
Am I having a party?
The welcoming party.
Yes, the welcoming party. We may have to throw a welcoming party. I promise I will not be the singer.
But you can get it.
I can get a few singers, yes. I have a few connections there. All right. All right. So, just do that right there, make sure I don't burn myself. All right. So I got my pattern, trace it over. Got it? All right. Again, I don't normally use this. I normally use something like the wax pen, or sometimes I'll just take this guy right here and I'll scratch it on there. I don't like to have any kind of markings. I'm a little particular, probably a little too type A on that, which I'm not really type A anyway, unless you ask my student maybe. But other than that, I'm not type A most of the time. Yeah, I don't know, it's appearance, right? When you're a chef or something, you want it to, appearance is everything. What do they say, perception is reality? I don't know if that applies there, but we're going to do it. I try to do long cuts. I try not to come off of it to try to avoid having any of those little tags. Not that you can't fix them, but. Save that. We're still good on time?
10:13.
Okay. Hopefully y'all are learning something. Or at least you.
Absolutely.
We are over here.
And then also, like I said, go visit our page. I know I'm not supposed to do that kind of thing, but I'm going to say.
It's super helpful.
Yeah, I have. I'm the only guy in my clinic, so I feel like a lot of times my colleagues have to take more of a motherly thing, and they kind of pick up as I go. I don't tend to keep a night. As you can see, I've been here an hour, and I've been trying to clean as I go. But I normally have stuff everywhere. I think I left yesterday, and I was the last one there. So if my colleagues are watching, sorry for what y'all walk into Monday. But I normally try to keep it best I can. These are nice tables, Rob.
Thank you.
All right. So again, I like to roll before I put it on. And this is Taylor, by the way. Wherever we get close to rest, just let me know.
Okay.
We'll try to get this on there before we do. And we'll use that so your elbow is not. Normally I'd have like a wedge right here and just kind of have them up a little bit, but are you okay right there for this purpose?
I'm fine.
So then I'm just going to make sure that's tacked down again. It's a little warm. Let me know. How's that?
Good.
All right, you just relax. So again, I want to make sure that I break that crease right there so we don't hinder any motion. Just a little extension. There you go. So again, I'm with the palms of my hand. I'm not working heavy. We're going to abide by our crease right here in the middle too, that transverse crease. We want to make sure that we're okay. Again, we're trying to stay off of the metacarpal right here. Can you rotate just a hair? There we go. Does that feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Definitely feels like a lot more drape.
Yeah, so again, Taylor, like she mentioned, that this Taylor splint, it does drape a lot more. I use it a lot for most of my stuff. I just really enjoy it. Again, there's plenty other material out there to use. A lot of people like the Aquaplast, the colors, like all of that stuff. It's kind of what we started with when I got to Savannah, so I just kind of mimicked everybody else. All right, so I'm gonna trim just a hair off. I use my fingernail a lot just to mark, not to. So like I was saying, that the whole Thanksgiving thing looked a little different this year, and I may be the only family that does this, but does anybody bust a piñata for Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay, bust a piñata for Thanksgiving.
Oh, no.
I don't know if my aunt started it years ago, but I'm telling you, it is a focal point at Thanksgiving. And so we weren't able to go to the mountains this year. We normally go up to Young Harris, Georgia, which is gorgeous, right down from Brasstown where y'all were. I love it up there. But so we kept that tradition alive this year, and it's really odd. I don't know where it came from, but
It's fun though.
I thought it was normal. Then I started talking about it at work, and everybody's like, "What? A piñata?" Yeah, yeah. Y'all don't do that. So I guess I don't know. We do have. Like I said, I went to Georgia Southern. I'm a huge Georgia fan, as you can tell. And we have a few of my cousins played sports at App State, so Georgia Southern and App State are big rivalry games. And you didn't tell me.
I'm paying too much.
And so maybe it's just taking a little anger out after being around them. I don't know, but the piñata is always a crowd pleaser. So all the kids have to go, and then if you're new to the family, you get embarrassed as well. So I'm just smoothing the edge first. I like to use the palm of my hand. I've talked to different people that use different things, but I like the palm. So I like to stay inside more, kind of pushing towards the outside, because if I have a little nick out here, it's not going to touch the skin. So I don't really care too much about that. As in school, it would probably be counted off on, but. Yes. It only took 6 tries. All right. So this is going to be my basis. So this is probably something similar to what you would make right from the get-go with a distal radius fracture. How does that feel on you?
Great.
So like I'm probably going to trim a little off up here. Just shy of that. And roll that for you. I like to flare this bottom edge when when I first started, I had a couple patients come in and they'd have this line right here. And I was like, what is that line from? And it's just from where they're doing this a lot and just kind of digging in. So I like to flare this bottom. It doesn't take a whole lot. I don't want to get a whole lot because then when they rest down sometimes it's just a lot of pressure right there. So I just want it to be very minimal, just to where it kind of slides on the skin instead of digging in a little bit. All right. So that feels okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Let that sit there. Almost man down. All right. Are we moving too fast, too slow? We're good? What'd I do? Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh.
I think you're doing great.
Okay, I just don't want to go too fast. Again, in my clinic, I take that back. I do sing. It's just not good. So I do sing in the clinic a little bit. I won't hear because it's very quiet. And usually people aren't really paying me attention. So again, I'm going to round these edges.
So you sing country music, Bob?
I sing all kinds of music. Like we were talking earlier, my dad really loved oldies. That's the only kind of music there was when I was little. And then I have some family members that actually did pretty good growing up and ended up signing some contracts, and all of a sudden country music was the only thing there was. So my dad is pretty much solely country music now. But I guess you could say it's in the family, just not this side of the family. All right. I wrinkled us up. I don't like it to wrinkle. And again, I would heat these normally, but just for time. And again, I round them just so we don't have as much of a chance for it to pull off. All right, I'm gonna steal this for a second. I'm gonna come, are we good right there? Yeah. So I'm gonna come right here, pop a hole in here again. See, you almost got me singing. I didn't realize.
do it.
No. Well, yeah. Maybe if we all sing together. Maybe we can get Rob to do a Christmas carol as we're finishing up. See, my team would be so proud in Savannah. Or maybe they shouldn't see this. Because then they're going to expect it. Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry, I moved on you. You had a great shot. It wasn't you, it was me.
I love that idea.
So just pop it down. I don't pop it down super tight because I want it to move a little bit. All right, so we know we're going across there. And I'm going to grab... All right. This one must be pretty easy. Nobody's asking questions. Is everybody still tuned in? Did we lose you?
They're on.
Somebody said, go for it, Bob, make our day.
All right. So, cut that one just a hair. All right, so one thing, let's come up. I'm not going to get your fingers, I only get about 2 of those a day. So, you know, I started out as a a glorified aide, I guess is what we called it. Like I had passed school, but I hadn't had my results yet for my test, so they just went ahead and started me as just an aide, and or not just an aide, as an aide. I don't want that to sound wrong. And we went to lunch one day, and we came back, and lo and behold, my license went through. So my boss, she's like, "Oh, there's a walkover. This is yours," and she leaves. Well, it's an NP arthroplasty requiring 2 splints. So I sit there and look my patient in the eye, and she goes, "Oh, you're doing a good job." I say, "Yeah, you're my first patient." We both laughed. She thought I was joking. I was not joking. So at the very end, I did tell her it was my first time. She's like, "Oh, well, you seem so confident." So try not to show it always. Another thing I tell my students is I call it the duck. Be the duck. You can be going a million miles underwater, but on the surface it looks calm. Yep. So it's just great advice that somebody gave me one time. The biggest thing I see, and this is kind of a little sidebar with like a wrist cock-up or something, is I see straps down here, leaving this part open. Ideally your static is supposed to have like a 3-point pressure system to support the brake. If we have this much open and that wrist can kind of flop in there, we're not really doing a service to our patient. So I like to kind of get across there. In the beginning, this is where it's going to be at. So this is the base for what we're going to do. I was trying not to use all Missy's stuff, so I cut that a little short. So this is kind of where I start at. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So we good on time? Where are we at?
It's 10:27.
So we have 3 minutes?
Yeah, go ahead and finish up.
Okay, I was going to say I can just get to the focal point and then we can... All right.
Not hard.
All right. So I'm going to take this guy and kind of make a scratch. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to imagine kind of where that scaphoid tuberosity is. That's where I want to go for. So I'm going to kind of go around that area because that's where... Go ahead and make a fist for me. She can do it, but if you notice, all of our fingers kind of pull towards that. So we're going to make a little point there. That's where I'm going to put my hook at. So that's kind of where I start. Well, that's not what I wanted. All right. Again, a little shaky, but I promise it's just coffee. So this is another time that this little thing comes in handy. I'll see if I can find out where it's from.
Somebody commented, they said that they actually come with...
I thought it did. There's another little curve piece. I don't use it. I don't know what it's for. But I love this one because I can just kind of focal. Like I'll take this guy. So I know you can't really see right now. Can you see right there a little bit? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take that point and I'm going to heat right there, and I'm also going to stick this down in here just to kind of get a good... All right. So I'm just going to kind of come in there. I'm going to use this guy to kind of bury it a little bit. I don't want it to snatch out. Had that happen before. If it does, again, not the end of the world. So the other thing to watch out for, which is what I just did, is you don't want to get the splint material under the hook. You want to be able to use the hook. So we want to make sure that stays free. All right. So again, when we make a fist, all lines are pulling there. So that's where we're pulling. I don't want to stick my Velcro here and pull that finger that way because I'm torquing that. So we have a stiff joint. We have the collagen is all changing. So now we're going to apply torque in the direction that it doesn't go. So we're going to irritate. We're going to possibly make things worse. More swelling, more stiffness, more trouble for us and the patient. Okay? So that's kind of where we are. All right. So then I'll take my strap or my scrap stuff. I'll cut a few of these.
How thick is that material, Bob?
This right here, it looks like 1/8. It didn't say on there. Yeah, it looks like 1/8. So a lot of times, a lot of people with the straps coming across here, they'll use the It's the prefabricated. I don't know what it is. I don't like to use that. I like to use something rigid because I feel like over time that gives a little bit. And you can make a static or a dynamic with rubber bands. I don't typically use the rubber bands with this type of thing. There are some instances I do, but I don't like it because it's harder for the patient to know exactly what I need them to do. I can teach them in the clinic what am I looking for in the type of pool because I want a low load for a longer duration. I don't want them coming back saying, I put it on for 30 minutes and absolutely killed my hand, it's swollen, it's like this. So if I use rubber bands, there is a chance that they could tack it down. Well, I don't really feel that very much. Tack it down a little later, and it's slowly pulling, and then we, upset the hand, and we cause inflammation, and again, edema, and we go the wrong way. So I use fishing line. With the fishing line pull, I can get it where I want it. Okay, this is what I want you to feel. A day or two, if you're not feeling much there, I want you to go a little further, but I want you to still feel that type of pull. I don't want to have pain. I want to have a light pull. So it's pretty easy to educate, so I like to use that. So it's more of a static progressive. It is still I guess, considered somewhat of a dynamic because it has movable parts, but it's controlled by her. It's not a constant move. I guess there's a checkpoint. So drop that, turn this off so I don't get burnt, or turn it to cool. So we make our pieces like this. So is what'll happen, you see that? So when they pull, it's pulling pretty good. So I'll take it and scaphoid, hook it there, and then it doesn't matter which way I put my Velcro after that because that scaphoid hook, the hook that I have there, is going to put it in the right plane. So I like this cap better because if you just put like a saddle, then sometimes if they only have like this much, it just kind of shoots back and slides that way. If I do this, I'm pulling pretty good. I might just broke it. But that's another thing. If you do have where it's tearing right here, you can always take a piece of the splint material, put it across that, shoot a punch through it, and then it has that rigid piece, so you can pull on it as hard as you want. The only thing that's going to tear then is the fishing line. Does that make sense? All right. So let's get this. You didn't tell me. I promise something's in here. All right, so I just need that finger. So is that okay right there? Mm-hmm. So again, this material can be a little bulky if you're doing all the fingers. I figured for a time's sake, we may just do one or two to show you how to make the pulley. They're going to be the same for each finger. I do label them. They can get a little confused at home. I will take a picture with the patient's phone, with their permission, so they know how to put it on. Sometimes we'll do a video. I feel that education is a very big part of this. Education in general with our treatments, the orthosis wear and care, so the patient knows what to look for. So I like to well prepare them. If they assume things, we all know what that means. Usually not good for me.
What size rivets do you use to avoid them being too big and hitting the skin?
With which, like with the last splint, like because I don't have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So like this is just, I believe, a medium. It's from Tandy Leather, but I think Performance sells it. They just get it from the leather company. You can see it's pretty flat in there. So a lot of times, I don't want them cinching down on this, but I can just take moleskin or something and stick it right over that, and they never even know it's there. They're only bulky on the top part.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever use string versus fishing line?
String. So so the question was, do I ever use string versus fishing line? And I'm assuming elastic string. I do use. I use this fishing line. I'm from South Georgia. I just know it works. I don't really have there's not a reason that you can't use string. Yeah, I know the fishing line has a certain pound test. So I do know that works. I did have a patient that was a very large patient, and we had to get actually I think it was deep sea lure or a deep sea line. So it was very tough. It was huge knots in it. But he just kept tearing it, and it actually worked really good, and I'd never used it. Again, I grew up in South Georgia, so Pond fishing is all I've done, and that's good enough, but I have had to use something a little more sturdy.
And I think some therapists do. I think Gary Solomon uses string. He did it at one of our courses.
Okay, yeah.
Static progressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Where that
no, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I guess to each their own. But I've always, I mean, I don't know how much string costs. I don't know like what pound test it is or anything like that. I just know this works.
We'd like to see how the finger cap and other piece are put together.
Yes. So the question is, or the comment was, they'd like to see how the finger cap and the piece are put together. That's what we're about to do now. So I got right here, I got my little trough built. I'm going to make sure that we don't cut into the web space. But first, I'm going to come, just turn your hand sideways. I'm going to measure. I'm going to make a little scratch. So I want it to be about right there. I don't want it to be too high up here because then when I get my string in there and it goes to pull down, I don't want it to cut into the finger any. Patients will come back and they'll tell you quickly that that's not good. So I'm going to take this, get my line. My scrap, sorry.
I know.
Oh, see? I swear I've done this before. All right.
Somebody asked, what is that tool?
This, I have no idea. I honestly can't tell you. It's
Like an ice pick.
it actually fits into like a bigger screwdriver handle piece.
okay.
I don't know what it's used for. I really think it's something for leather work. Again, I've been at the clinic for 9 years. It's been there longer than me, but I have found to love it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can find out the name, but I don't know right offhand. So they were asking what the name of it was. If anybody knows, please let us know so we can share that. Again, I do things. I don't necessarily know the names of everything that I have. All right, so that's going to fit pretty good. I'm going to get you to come up here. So I'm going to come down. Does that get you right there, Annie? We can cut that if we need to a little later. So I'm going to promise I'm not throwing these at you.
I got glasses.
You got glasses, yeah. All right. So I'm going to smooth those a little bit. I'll tell you what, when Rob asked me to do this, I get probably a little overly excited about doing this kind of thing. I just really enjoy it. I like how it allows, our type of job to help others, but allows us to be creative in our own little way. So it's a lot of fun. It's great to see the patient, get something out of it, to know that you helped. Y'all don't let me burn myself. So, it's kind of creativity meets healthcare. What's that?
The tool is a scratch-all, AWL.
Scratch all, like AWL?
Yes,
Scratch all. Is it leather work, or do we know?
for leather.
Okay. See, I know some things. All right. So I'm going to come in here. All right. So I got my top part here. And again, if you are caught on time and you have the little brown saddle pieces, I don't know what they're called, forgive me. You can use those. I just don't care for them very much because they do wear out over time a little bit. I like to have a solid pull. So when I get them in the position I want them in, they're staying there. So we'll lay that right there. And some of you may not feel very comfortable with the next cut. I promise I won't cut you.
Okay.
But so what I'll do is I'll place it on, I'll come around and I'll crease it on the bottom, and then I'm going to cut it while it's on her so I can kind of get a good seam. The good thing about it is even if it breaks loose, see, like I can pull that, it's still going to do its job. So even if it breaks, it's going to do its job and pull through. So, and we're cooking. Rob, I think when y'all come to Savannah, y'all should serve grits.
Oh,
Serve grits?
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, we like grits.
Yeah, not everybody does.
can that be?
Who knows?
Shrimp and grits would be good.
Shrimp and grits would be great.
You okay?
Do you ever use OptiPerf material for the finger caps or dorsal finger piece?
Nope. No reason why. I just don't have it in the clinic.
Okay.
Don't quite have a view here.
Okay, sorry. So I'm just getting my little seam right there. All right. One thing you want to be very careful of is we're going to end up trimming here because the worst thing you want to have is when I can't bend her DIP very much. So we want to make sure that we clear that space. We want to allow enough clearance that we can get that flexion. Nope, you're good. Just letting it harden
Have you
up.
ever tried Aquaplast for the finger pieces?
Yes, I have. So the Aquaplast, I sometimes we use the thin one, especially if I'm doing all 4 fingers, just because if we use something like this and then we have another one beside it, another one, it kind of spreads the fingers out a little bit. Can you see that now? There you go. So if we use something thicker coming through here, it puts a big gap right there, or more than I'd like to have. So if I use like the 1/16 Aquaplast or something, that, I'll use it. It depends on, it may just be one finger, it may be all fingers, but if I'm using all, then I will probably go something thinner. If I don't have it, then I will use this because I'd rather them have this than nothing. But most of the time we stay pretty stocked up. If we don't, it's my fault. I forgot to order something. All right. All right. So... throwing them at you. Pretty good? All right. So can we see that? Good. So see, we've got her cleared there. So now, of course, if I have a patient that can't do this, I can't necessarily tell, but I want to make sure I have enough clearance there, not just right up to the DIP. With her, of course, she can bend all the way, so she doesn't need this. But that's a good, let's turn you over right here. You just want to make sure that you have enough clearance. You just want enough that you can get a pull there. And you don't want it too short on the back so it doesn't flop off. All right, so we're right here. Hopefully this is all making sense. And I'm sure there's some people out there that already do this. Maybe not. But I really like it. It's done great. I think the first time I did it, I was probably more amazed than the patient. It was kind of taking a chance. All right. So I got my hole. So I'm here, and I'm here. All right. So the fishing line's probably going to be a little hard to see. And again, I guess you ordered a string from Performance Health. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't used it a whole lot. See, I remembered that time. But the fishing line, I know it's tried and true. I've used it for years. Not just in the clinic. It's kind of like duct tape. Southerner uses duct tape for everything. So I'm going to thread it through. Can you see better with the...
It's good on the black table, but I'm trying to keep up with your hands. They're
Okay.
moving very fast.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm going to come through here.
Good.
All right. So take this guy. And I like to do... I'm going to go inside out. That way when I pull, it gives me more of that. Versus if I go outside in, look at there, I thread both of them. If I go outside in, see how I can kind of cut into the finger with the line of pull? So I try to avoid that. Found that one out the hard way.
Does the cap ever slip off?
I have never had it slip off. That's why I've switched to the cap. The question was, does the cap ever switch off? I guess if you make it too short, it could, but it really grabs the end of the finger. I've had some of the just the sleeves, if you make like a trough up here, it's too big for mine. If I have a trough here and a trough here and they don't have a lot of flexion, I've found that it just kind of slides off and I can't get it to stay very good. I'm sure there's tricks out there, maybe dice them or something like that. But the cap, I can kind of give a good little tug and it's easy for the patient. They can just slap that cap on and they don't have to worry about trying to get it to stay when they pull it.
I don't know that I've really seen which way the string is going on that, the one in your left hand.
Okay, sorry about that. So let's see if we can lay it out. So I've got my cap this way, and then with my string, I'm coming inside out. And I'm going to do the same thing. Can't see. There we go. Inside out there. So, can you see that? All right. So, you can also use tape. I've had where, taught my students, when they string one side up, tape that side down so they don't pull the string back out. So you can use that. So then...
Is there a specific gauge of the fishing line, Bob?
20-pound test. So I'm going to go here and here.
20 pound?
Go ahead and lift that hand up a little bit.
I do, actually. But I don't
So-
know the gauge of the fishing line. I do like fishing.
So we're going to turn there. So if I pull down, try to extend that finger. Like she can't go anywhere. I've got her. And there, does it feel pretty secure on there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I like this method. Also, when I come in, I'm not cutting into the finger here. And as you can see, we went outside in. So if you're going to get a little bit, it's going to be right there. But if they're getting this far, they probably don't need this splint. All right.
Great.
So then, like I said, I'll take these, possibly tape those down. And then I'll come and I'll get, we can do. You definitely don't want to cut this one too short because this is going to be what, when we come in and we hook, it grabs. If it's cut too short, then it might pop off a good bit. The Velcro wears out after a little while. So, since we snapped that other piece, look at there. See, I thought it was open. All right. Does that make sense with the way we string it up? Make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. If it doesn't, please ask. We'll do it again. I'll try to slow my hands down. I told you I get excited about doing this stuff. So, Rob didn't know what he was doing when he asked me. It was kind of crazy because I came to Rob and I was like, my dream, or not dream, but I had a vision. The page started doing really good, and I was like, we want to do classes. I want to do like a full-blown course, and that's what we were going to kind of do. But again, COVID, and so we ended up with this, which is great. I'm enjoying this. Hopefully, y'all are. Not just talking to myself. So what I'll do right here is I'll kind of come right here, just kind of smash it on there. Can you see that? As a Southerner, a lot, we have a retirement community, and I get told some of the words I say don't translate up north. So if I say something you don't know, or just let me know. So I'm gonna let that harden a little bit. So what this is serving as is I could put a hole right through here, or if I put it through here, it gives it more rigidity, and that string won't cut through the material, especially since this is so thin.
That's great.
All right, I got to find my pieces. It's tough to see on this table. All right. So I like to line them up, make them even. It really doesn't matter because they slide through. Depending on how stiff the patient is going to be how I'm going to make it. She's not very stiff, so I'm going to...
Do you tie a knot to secure the line at the cap?
No, so it just slides through. That way I get an even pull. The question was, do I tie a knot on the cap up here? I like to have it slide through because if I tie a knot shorter on one side versus the other, then I'm adding a little torque in one direction on the finger. So I don't typically do that. Let me see. Make sure I stay where I'm supposed to stay. So then I'm just tying a knot. Then I'm going to come back through. Is that a good speed?
Great.
All right. Try to make it as tight as I can get it without tearing it. All right. Let's see if I can get this right. All right, so make sure that the strap goes underneath. All right, so now when I pull, feel that? All right, so I'm gonna let you slide that on really quick. All right. Again, I like to round things. It just looks good. That wasn't a good round. All right. So we cut that a little short right there. I was trying to save material. I'm not going to recut it because she's not paying for it. So again, let's come up like this so they can... Is that a good angle? Can you see right there? Zoom out a little bit. There you go. All right. So we want to go under the bridge, through the tunnel. I guess it's not really through a tunnel. But see, if I were to tie a knot right here, possibly it pulls like that. Or if I was to tie a knot and it was on that side, it pulls like that. But being that it's kind of free to move, so I'm going to come down. Feel that? So we're going to stick that right there for a second. So I'm going to give myself a big landing pad. Don't know what that is. Because I want her to be able to advance this, you know, without me having to be there. So education, again, is going to be a bigger part. That's a terrible cut. You should have told me to do better. All right, so we'll just go right here. So then I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull her down, tack her there. And again, if I'm pulling from way over here, I'm going to wrap it around, tack it there. This one's going to be stronger. Longer. The one thing you got to be, here's where you can mess up. If you cut it too short and say she's only right there, I can't really get it in there and tack it anywhere. So I gauge how long this is based on where she is. Because I can always cut this and make it shorter as we progress with treatment. But it's pretty easy. Actually, I'm going to see if you can do it. Some people have a little trouble with tacking that in there. I'm going to try to get both of them. And then you can give a good pull and tack it down, and then there we are. Again, she's cured, so we did a great job with this one. Any questions on that? And I would do the same thing for every finger.
You just have them all go through the same.
Yep, I just have them all weave around the same thing, because as we make a fist, again, all of my fingertips are pointing towards my scaphoid tuberosity right there, so that's where I want the line of pull. If I put it here and I'm pulling that joint, see, to pull that joint that way I have to torque that finger. So I'm probably going to irritate more than anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her wear this, and I'm going to start her out, maybe 30, 45 minutes, a couple times a day, and I'm going to go over the type of pull that I want. Again, I don't want an aggressive pull. I want something that she can wear. So, if we're going to go, we're going to get to where she is, where she can get to actively, and then I'm going to give her just a little more, tack it down. And that's where we're going to stay at, and that's where we're going to stay at for a little while. And I could even and we can make a mark on the splint. This is where we got to in the clinic. Next time, by the time you come back, let's try to be a little further than that. And so at home, she is kind of, competitive with herself. She's trying to get a little further without overdoing it. So I want to make sure that she understands how this works and that she understands that she can overdo it. It's a pretty easy, again, like you probably started out with this with a distal radius fracture, and then they come in and you notice your patient's Barbie handing all day. They don't even realize they're doing it either. And that's the crazy thing. You can call them out and they're like, oh, what? No. And then next time they come in, they might say, you know what, I realize that I am doing that. So again, to like see if they were all pulling, they're still pulling that way. Do you have any questions, Rob? Anybody?
No questions.
Any updates? I guess college football hasn't started yet, so no updates there. Did anybody take the CHT exam? Did they pass? Oh, well, don't say if you passed or not. Did you take it? Because I think that was what, November, right? So I think some of them just found out.
Yeah, they found out this week.
Yeah, I saw somebody posted. I don't know who it was. It was on the page. Y'all should follow.
Tell us again, what is hook at the scaphoid?
Oh, so I buy these. I honestly don't know the name. I think they're called fisheye hooks, I believe.
That's right.
It's a brawl strap hook. That's the other thing. That's all it is. I just make sure when I tack it in. Can you see pretty good right there? I make sure that these two little holes that I have some splint material covering over them because it will snatch it out. So these two holes right here. Can you see better with that behind it?
That's great.
So I want to make sure that I move some of that material over it just to kind of secure it down. It's pretty easy to do, but I use that little spot heater. If you don't have the spot heater, you can just take a pair of little needle nose pliers, and I'll just take them, and I'll hold it against the heat, let it heat up really good, and then I'll just stick it right on. So that works pretty good too. But yeah, great question. So the question was, I'm terrible about repeating this, sorry. The question was, what is the piece that I use to hook right here, the scaphoid? Now, that's what I use oftentimes. There have been times where I've, didn't have any, they didn't come in for whatever reason, and I will take some material and I'll build like a little hook or a little post, and I'll tack it down with the rivets, and I'll just wrap it around that post. So whatever you can make work, get creative with it. Again, you want to abide by certain landmarks, you want to abide by certain principles, but also you can be creative. There's no necessarily wrong way when making a post. This is just what works. This is what I have in the clinic. Again, some clinics may not order a lot of this stuff, so just using a scrap piece. If you have rivets, there you go. You can do that. So
We have one more question before the break.
okay.
Have you run into a situation where the DIP is very stiff and you keep gaining motion at the PIP joint, but the DIP is much slower?
I have. So the question is have we ran into trouble where we've made something like this and the DIP, we're having a lot of trouble with it. The PIP is changing, but if you notice, can you see good there? When I pull, if I hold that PIP is not going to go anywhere. So it has to react with it. There is also, you can come in here, and this is speaking totally different, but you can make a hand-based volar, and you can come out just proximal to the DIP, and then build, like I said, you'll come up maybe that high. You want to try to get a 90-degree pull if you can, and I'll build it up, and I'll have this same thing without this, just this cap part, pull across. So you'll support the PIP, and the cap is pulling the DIP only, if that's an issue. So, it's almost like just an ORL stretch or, something they can do at home. So I will do that. But in this case, it's the whole thing, the PIP is not going to move without the DIP moving because they're trying to work together, trying to be a happy family. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. So this is where we are with this one. And give yourself enough room. But again, like if I stick it over there, it doesn't change my line of pull because I've got her there. It doesn't matter where I put my Velcro after I cross that. Hopefully that wasn't too much to digest. If you have any questions, do we have just a second? I'll show. So let's see. So I'm going to heat this piece right here. go through my toolbox. I was telling Rob I left Savannah, and that's Rob, I'm Bob. So they kind of laughed at me because I walked out with a giant red toolbox, and they all already pick at me for being Bob the Builder, so that kind of stuck. And I think that it's probably, I'm going to have to deal with it for a little while. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Good.
Did you show them your red toolbox?
Oh, no, I did not. So, I mean, it's a legit toolbox. This is what I bring all my stuff in, all my goodies. It's, yeah, I mean, it's I should probably get like a custom paint job or something on it. But, I have a lot of different things in here. Scrap material. This guy I didn't bring out. I like this one. Again, it's another tool that I don't know the name of. But if I need to change, like the strap starts tearing or something, I can get under here and pop that rivet out. I don't know what it is. Probably something else for leather work. I don't know who did leather work. Maybe back in the older days. Missy's raising her hand. Missy's raising her hand. So yeah, I mean, this is my travel kit. I try to pack what I think I might need. I never really know. So, oh yeah, let's get this out. All right. So, I'm going to use, slide right there. Can you see good? So I'm going to use my table. I'm going to flatten that down. And depending on, I'm going to give it a little hook angle. Can you see that? So this one won't be the best looking one, but we'll get the point across. So I'm going to let it harden up like that. And is what I'll do, after it hardens like this, I'll come in here with my hole punch, my leather hole punch, again, a leather hole punch. I'll punch a hole here and here, and I'll come in here, and I'll put the same holes through here, so I'll mark it, put a pin hole through after I punch these, and then I'll stick a rivet in it, and then that way when she pulls, if I don't have what I need, that's my bar. So it's just a quick, easy, it doesn't look as nice, but it works. That's what we need, right? We need function. Mm-hmm. It can look great, but if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, then you just kind of played around. All right, so any questions before break?
We can continue to post questions while we're on.
Yeah, I'll answer. Like I said, I'll answer what I can. Some things I just do because it's the way I do it or the way that I learned to do it. I try to pay attention to a lot of other things. Again, I was telling them before, I go to Home Depot a lot and just kind of look around and see what I can use in the clinic. So, don't be scared to come up with something on your own. So
Ace Hardware's good.
Ace Hardware. Yeah, actually, I get a lot of stuff from. We find these dollar store buys for like fine motor manipulation, proprioceptive stuff. I mean, it's great.
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, dollar store is awesome.
I have a shopping spree at the dollar store. when I was
Yeah,
a
it's
student.
So we'll take a 10-minute break.
okay.
Coming back at 11:15?
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
So awesome.
It's still rolling.
one.
Welcome back, everybody. We hope everybody's enjoying Bob so far, and continue with the questions. These are great questions that are coming through the chat room. So a couple of things. First, there was a question about the CEUs, and you will be receiving your CEUs from Corey McIntyre. She will be emailing those to you. She sent me a text and was hoping to get those out this afternoon. So just if you could give us a couple of days on that, and if you don't receive a CEU certificate by Tuesday or Wednesday, just send us an email. And today, if you're on for today, this will be live hours. So, because Georgia licensure requires the 12 live CEUs, so you will receive the 3 live CEUs, and it will state live stream on the certificate. Just wanted to talk about membership again. So there are several people, on the attending the course that are not members, and we're really happy to have you. But please consider signing up for our membership. Right now, like I said earlier, it's $35 until February 28th, and then it increases to $50 March 1st. The live stream courses that I spoke about earlier, the naked prosthetics in January and the ethics course in March, that will be, those will be for members only. So really consider joining. There are a lot of benefits. You can go on our website and check them out, and it's definitely worth the $35. So that's it. If you have any other questions, just keep them coming through the chat room, and we will welcome Bob back.
That was a smoother transition with the handoff
In the first one?
than the first one, yeah. Almost fumbled it. How does that sound? Good? All right. Okay, so the one that I really enjoy making, we talked about a static orthosis, we talked about a dynamic, and now, or a static progressive, which is similar to a dynamic. Now we're going to talk about a dynamic that uses elastic components. And this is one that I really like. It kind of makes the job fun. I was telling them earlier that it's great to go to work and to see somebody come in and just kind of lost hope, and you make something and it just instantly gives them function. Sometimes you get the biggest smile, sometimes you get a cake or donuts. I really enjoy that. It's one of the best parts of the job is to make a difference in somebody's life. So, I always try to do that. I always try to take my time on them. You are sometimes caught between, this patient, that patient. But I try to look ahead, so I encourage you to look ahead. So the next one we're going to make is the low-profile radial nerve palsy. This is the one that was on the, I guess we call it a mailer, an emailer. I don't know what we call them now. So this is the idea behind it. So what we're doing is, you typically get that patient, they come in, they've had, maybe a humeral fracture, something, and we have a wrist drop. We have that classic wrist drop. It could be a radial nerve palsy, or I believe they call it honeymooner's palsy, or even, Saturday night palsy, and I believe it's squash palsy. I don't know much about the game of squash, but apparently it happens there as well. So they get that classic, they're pronated, they got that wrist drop, and when they go to pick something up, they kind of here and they have to shake to let it go and drop it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to kind of use a tenodesis a little bit. When they go to extend the fingers, the splint's holding them in so they can let go, and the elastic parts are helping pull them back up. So I really like this one. We've had some great results with it. Again, the part up here, we just kind of clear the metacarpals. So this is not made on her, but you kind of clear the metacarpals so you don't get that rubbing. When I have my students make it for the first time, I don't have them do this part. We just kind of bubble it and pat it. And honestly, it works just as good. But this is the way I typically do it. And you don't necessarily have to put the hinge in it. I love the hinge because it does increase our function. So that's great. You can make it just all one rigid piece with the dynamic portion over here. So we're going to set that right there. For this, I use the elastic string. Again, performance, I get it from there. And the elastic strap, and I'll get all the names of this stuff. So I really like this. I know some. We have a therapist that he's been doing it for probably 30-something years, and he uses pajama elastic. That's what he likes to use. So somehow he gets that to work. It is a little thinner, and I think you can get this a little thinner as well, but that's kind of where we start at. All right, so I'm going to slide this chair again, if y'all don't mind. Again, stop me at any point if you have questions. All right. So I'm going to come in here. Good right there. So I'm marking all the way out to my PIP joints, okay? Then I'm going to come just proximal of the wrist crease. Because I do want it to cross a little bit. I'm going to figure out where that captate is, that axis of rotation. If you can't feel necessarily because it's more when you have the splint on, because obviously you can't feel the hand. So sometimes I'll just take it and I'll hold my pen and kind of see where that wrist is, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point. So, all right, go ahead and lift up for me. So we end up with this. I am an artist. I told you I got into SCAD, right? All right. Now, to be honest, if I'm in the clinic, this one does take a little while sometimes. So I won't do this part. I would just take like a square piece, and I'll go and just kind of form it and make it really fast, and then cut out where I need it cut out. Sticker's got adhesive on it, so they're a little, my scissors got adhesive on it, so they're a little sticky. And I believe this one, I think, is actually on our page, too. Mm-hmm. See, we have a follower. All right. So I'm going to come right here. All right, so we're about right there. That's where we are. All right, and this one is Cura Drape. I really like it. I was telling them earlier. It sounds weird, but to say that I feel like it has like a velvet finish. I know that sounds really weird to say about a splint material, but I really like it. It seems to work really good, especially for this type of thing. I use it for a lot of finger stuff as well. Let's see.
Bob, are you referring to your Instagram page when you say page?
Yes. Okay. It's very quick, though. Let's make some of them happy. I'll do it this way. I did have these shears. They're a little older, but normally I was telling her, I think they're called pruning shears, maybe. Just grab them from Home Depot. And I think Patterson actually or Performance sells them as well. You made me nervous. All right. Save that. So we're going to drop this.
Somebody asked about, when that's heating up, the dynamic component, or the static progressive component on your finger.
Yes.
So do you charge that like as one splint for static progressive?
I will. So the question is with the other splint, the last splint we made, the finger component. So it depends. If I'm making it all as one, then yes, I do a static progressive. I do the L code for the static progressive. If not, and I'm adding it later, then I just kind of bill for my time because I'm usually using like some scrap stuff to. Okay. So it depends on how long it takes me. So, all right. I forgot we had this in here.
The name is Cura Drape, right?
Yes. Somehow it went all the way over there. It did, yeah. I don't know where things are. All right. Let that harden up just a little bit. So again, I know Rob was talking about joining membership. I'd love to see y'all in Savannah. We'll be there again. Was it June
4th and 5th.
June 4th and 5th. Come, we're going to make some more things there. We'll have a breakout session. It ought to be a lot of fun. You can ask questions. You can even refer back to some of these. So.
Oh, yeah, I didn't tell them you would be there. You can.
Oh, well, I'll be there. So. So let's see where we are. So right here, I want it to come all the way out. Sorry, okay. I want it to come out pretty much to the PIP joints. And then I'm going to look underneath and I'm going to kind of mark where her metacarpals are. All right. Oh, I'm about to use it. Good catch, though. Good catch. All right. Scissor safety. And trust me, I've messed plenty of these up. So don't be scared. Everybody has an off day. I promise. If they don't, they're lying to you. It's so quiet. So you can tell me the truth. Rob's not in here right now. Was he a great CI?
He was awesome. Yep. He and Joey were awesome.
Nice.
So you usually just use scissors like that?
Yes, I love these. It's not that you can't use the others. I've just mangled a lot of them the other way.
Okay.
She asked if I normally use those sharp scissors. I normally do. Like I said, I'll use a lot of things that you don't typically find, I guess, in a hand clinic. Well, I guess these days, because the leather stuff, I guess you don't find except for the hole punch normally. So then I'm going to come right here. I'm going to try to get a nice little roll. Is everybody following along out there? Do we need to slow down? How are we on time? We're good.
I love the idea of the roll beforehand.
The roll beforehand has saved my life.
I've never done it like that before.
Yeah, I never did it the other way. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I always just thought it'd be easier. It's not that the other way's wrong at all.
Seems easier though.
Saves me the mess up time. We good? All right. All right. So then we're going to come out. We're going to get it where we need it. All right, just rest that hand down flat right there. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. I want to make sure that I'm clearing. All right, lift straight up. Relax. So I normally have a wedge or something that I can use to kind of help me get where I need to be. Because ideally they can't lift their hand up like this. Relax that thumb. Put you more right there. So I would have a wedge so I can kind of have them in this position, get them where I need them to be. Test that a little bit. Good. All right. Again, if you have questions at any point in time, please ask. And I'm just making trim marks. So again, I'm kind of looking to where that capitate's going to be at. Kind of giving myself an idea so I don't have too much up here. I don't want it to start to dig in a little bit back there. So I'm going to put my finger kind of where I imagine if I'm looking straight down, if I stuck this through there, which we don't think about that, where's that axis going to be rotating? And that's kind of where I want my rivet to go. So I'm going to come just, like I said, a little more proximal of that, and that's where I'm going to trim us up at. Does that feel okay right there? Mm-hmm. All right. We're almost where we need to be. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so again, that's a little long. Hopefully everybody's having a blast right now.
Keep up right now.
What's that?
We're trying to keep up with that.
Oh, yes, if I need to slow down, please let me know. I was just trying to keep with our time. Just going to come off just a little more. So you okay right there? Is that cutting in anywhere on these side pieces?
Doesn't feel like
Okay. All right, we're there. We're there. All right. So again, just kind of smoothing those edges a little bit. We're not going to make them perfect for time's sake. Although in the clinic you should, or we're going to count off grading. Rob tell you that? Did he get you on it?
Nah, he's like that.
Good. All right. So this is our first part. We got it right there. Okay? And again, I may trim that just a hair. I think we're okay, though. Yeah. Feel okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So then, depending on what material you're using, you might want to grab you something to kind of go in between so the two they don't stick to each other. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, I don't measure this. I just cut it. See, that sounded a little southern. Could it?
Could it?
Sorry. Sorry. Good. Hopefully everybody's staying with it. Again, we've got the first part done. If you need us to slow down, let me know. If you have any questions, also let me know. If you just have, a win in life, let me know. Just all right. So one thing to think about with this, I'm probably going to trim. Scroll down. There you go. Probably going to trim this down a little bit, but you don't want this to be too short because you need some leverage up here to help keep that wrist up, so there's not too much of a pressure point. Oh, stole that. See how it sticks so well? All right. Let's go a little wide on you. Well, to be honest, I know, like I said, I can't see anybody. I can't see any facial reactions. I can't, except Sam. But I'm having a lot of fun, so I hope y'all are too. I get a little giddy over this kind of thing, and like I said, I might be the only one I know that has a splint pan at home.
That's awesome.
So, I just, I enjoy it. If sometimes I'll get like an idea in my head and I'll say, okay, let's go home, let's try this. And honestly, there's usually like some wine involved. Sometimes it gets the creative juices flowing,
Yep.
That's right.
Absolutely. I just had to
So
do.
now there's a question, but
Go ahead.
once it's completed, the therapist will be able to see this. So is the distal hand of the handpiece over the PIP joint allowing PIP flexion?
Oh, yes.
It does.
Yeah, okay.
But
Yeah, so the question was, is the distal portion right here allowing PIP flexion? We're going to have elastic strap under here, so it's definitely going to allow it, but it's also going to kind of help assist pulling that back up. All right. We'll let that cook a minute. Does anybody do anything fun this afternoon other than this? Because I know this is your number one thing right now.
Not really.
Not really?
Football.
Football? Who's your team?
Baylor Bears.
Okay, who does Baylor play? Y'all got a really good who?
Oklahoma.
Oh, big game. Well, I don't know about this year. I don't know how good either one of them are this year. It's a COVID season.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Don't reach in the pan. I do that sometimes too. I tell people I have my cooking hands.
Yeah,
Is that what you use the same terminology?
it doesn't bug you anymore at all, does it?
No.
It's called been doing this too long. Insensate hands.
Don't let it be tight right there. You're good. Where's my tool? Let's be professional.
I want one of those now.
You want one of these? Mm-hmm. I imagine it can't cost much. Probably. I know the only leather site I know is Tandy Leather. I don't know why I know that. I don't do anything with leather work, but
It's cool though.
Hobby Lobby. Yeah, Hobby Lobby probably has pretty much anything you need. Actually, Hobby Lobby has everything my wife seems to need.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if we need it or not. It was a great deal. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but I got a deal. But we didn't need that.
Yeah.
But it was a deal. Okay.
So Bob, did you buy your own split pan at home, or do you use an electric griddle?
So I have a. Let's just say I have a legit split pan at home.
We want a picture.
Y'all want to pick? Maybe I could post one of those. Yeah, as long as nobody picks on the garage. It's a little. We moved in about a year ago, and that was a great place to put stuff. I have 2 kids, like I said, they're 10 and 6 and seem to, let's see where we are, seem to be going on 35. So
there's some gator and dog trash talking.
already on there on the page. For this year, y'all got us. I can't say much about this year.
Gators, what is this? The Gators they're beating Tennessee,
Who hasn't beat Tennessee?
and
Sorry if you're a Vols fan.
and Phyllis is a huge Gator fan.
I mean, I can't say much about them this year. They spanked us. So congratulations, but we'll see you next year.
And Elsbeth is for the dogs.
Who is?
Elsbeth.
Okay. We're friends. So I'm looking for that axis of rotation. So about right there. So then, good, I'm going to come in, I'm going to make my hole, and then I'm going to come right back on top. Go through that hole to punch the other hole. So I know where I'm at. And again, a little shaky. It's the coffee, I promise. All right. I'm going to flare that a little bit. So I just like to flare this first part. That way when she does rotate, he or she, that it's not digging in too much. Sometimes I'll go and I'll add a little pad right there if it bothers them, or if I think it will. All right. So then, and close the splint pan. Yeah, see? Took us all the way to the last one, but we got it.
I'm watching the temperature.
Do you like the Cura drape over a solid Taylor splint for the?
I use both. I was just trying to show a variety of stuff today. So there, the question was, do I like Cura Drape over the solid Taylor? Actually, I don't have solid Taylor. I believe I don't know the levels. There's like ultra perforated, but it's a perforated one, and I normally use that, or I'll use the solid, the Cura. It just depends on, again, how big of an arm am I working with? Is it a heavy arm? Then I'm going to need something a little more rigid. But that's, every patient with the same diagnosis is never the same, which is one reason I like to get away from protocols, which I think are good for somebody beginning treatment, but I like to get away from protocols and use them more as guidelines with any of my diagnoses. So, if I say protocol, I don't necessarily mean protocol, but for our new therapists, we like to use them. It gets them through safely. They're not going to necessarily mess anybody up. So, all right, so there we are. So we got that. Isn't it beautiful? All right, so let's get our...
Do you have sample splints, and if so, how do you preserve them from getting brittle?
You know what? I do have. So the question was, do I have sample splints? You mean like to show people, like show students? Is that? I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. So if I'm going to show somebody, I have a bunch of them, but we have a constant door of students coming in, and a lot of times they're going to make them. So we have like a pile. Throw more out. We'll get another student. We'll build, make another pile, throw them out. So we don't keep them very long. I guess a little. You know what? I'm not ashamed of it. I'm a Disney fan. We love to go to Disney World. So I have one that I made. It's actually on our page just to go to Disney to get Mickey and Minnie to sign it. I have that one. It's probably very brittle, but it's not going away. So, I mean, it's just a thumb spike up. But so this is okay. All right. So this is a combination of the Cricut and me making what I make and really just trying to get a shot for the page. So we did it, and we have the Mickey and Minnie, like the old school Mickey and Minnie kiss silhouette, and then we got Mickey and Minnie to sign it and took a picture at Disney World. So, we probably go down more than we should.
People are loving that.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
We're getting comments.
Yeah, we are definitely a Disney family. We did go during COVID. It was, if you're, I know we're getting off subject, but if you're thinking about it, I never felt more safe. So
I heard that from another therapist.
it's been amazing. I'm going in 2 weeks again. So
Nice.
Oh, wow.
yeah, I love it, but it's also probably, a bad habit. So
Oh, Elspeth. Oh, Elspeth again. She's a dog fan and a Disney.
see, I knew it.
Oh, Emma loved it. There are a lot of people commenting on being Disney fans.
Yeah. Yeah. They're everywhere. We're everywhere, I promise. I'm not ashamed of it.
My stepmom has a medal from every single one of their races.
Oh, the races? All right, so what we did is we heated the back part. We kind of smoothed it a little bit. We'll probably do a little more of that. After a while, if you missed a little bit, we did come through here, punch our holes. We marked them with a marker. We punched our holes, and we made sure that we had enough space in between the fingers. So this is where we are right now. We have our rivet for the hinge, and we have our holes punched. So what I'm going to use is just this elastic string. They do make different, I guess, grades is what we're going to call it. This just says Belgium. So I have to find out which size it is. This is what we're going to kind of start off using. So we're going to cut 3 of these. All right. So we want to make sure the spot that's going to hit the Velcro is facing the fingers. So we're going to come through, oh, look at there. User error. Try not to cut into anybody's football time. There we go. All right. So we're going to come up, and I'll show you in just a second. So you can see right there, I've got that loop. All right, so I'm going to tie it off pretty tight because we have 2, I guess, different elastic components working together. I don't want it to be too loose to where it's not providing the spring back that I need, the little help that I need. So tie that off. I'm going to make a little loop there, and you can kind of adjust this too. if you don't get your finger spots just right. So then we're there. See, this is the time you should be singing me a song.
You don't want that.
Somebody commented, they found the quick video for fabricating this orthosis on the Low Country Hand Instagram.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, it's less than a minute. You should be surprised. I do that pretty quick in the clinic, I guess. So we're going to come in. Same thing for this last one. I'll leave just a little lines just in case I need to tighten it back up. It starts to get a little loose. Some people take just a piece of material and they'd like to put it across here and kind of tie it around that. It's always worked this way for me. All right. So maybe I should have had it. So the patient would have to come in. They're going to have to fish. Again, she doesn't have the issue, but they're going to fish their fingers through to right here. Are we able to? So we got it right here. All right, let's go ahead and just turn that wrist back over. So we're going to secure them in here. All right, so I'm going to come through, come up on that elbow. Let's turn. Let's see. I want to be able to see this. There we go. So in here, I want this to be somewhat tight, so I'm going to pull these down. I don't want it to cut off circulation, but I do want it to be able to have a little spring back effect. You may have to adjust these. Those feel too tight? Okay.
Good.
All right. So we're going to rest it
In
down.
reference to Disney, they said frozen.
Frozen. These are my kind of people.
Thirty-five is back on.
All right. So then I want to come through here. I'm going to give it a good little pull. Nothing crazy. Then come through. Trim these guys up a little bit. And we don't want to forget that thumb. All right. And this may take a little adjusting to get the right tension for that patient. All right, so come and then make a fist for me and back out. So go ahead, so here you go, go ahead and stand up, or yeah, he can come out. That way they can see right there. So go ahead and make a fist. So then we're not getting those MPs, they're not hitting anything. We're able to flex, we're able to extend. We have two dynamic pieces, elastic pieces that are pulling her back up, pulling the thumb back up, and then we get a little. So now we provide function, so they can usually reach out, grasp, do some light fine motor stuff. Mm-hmm. Any questions over this one? I know that had a little hiccup there. So we actually make this more than you would think in the clinic. We use it a good bit. I like it a lot. It's not that hard once you dive in. Again, you don't have to make this part. You can just pad right there. And you don't have to do the hinge. You can just make the whole piece. But you do want to come out to to the PIP joints, and you definitely need some elastic strap. But I like it a lot better than just like a regular outrigger, because they can wear this and function. They're not going to get it caught on covers and doors. They can reach in their pocket a little bit. They can function, and it's not just too cumbersome to wear. So I just like it. It was a great design. I mean,
Absolutely.
so. All right. Any questions on that? Anything?
Give them 30 seconds.
Yeah, I will.
What is the name of the digital strapping?
Oh, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to get Rob the question was, what is the name of the digital strap? Yeah, I think it's called Elastic Loop, I believe, by Performance. I will write everything down and send it to Rob, and he can send it to everybody that joined, or even maybe post it at the bottom of the feed or something, and that way you can order it. I'll put the numbers beside it and stuff like that. But this is just what I use. Again, there's other materials out there. This is just the stuff that I use in my clinic.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Any other?
Does that feel okay?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, this is yours.
Oh, I really want it.
All 37
Oh,
in the
awesome.
back.
You gonna give it?
I don't need it.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't need it.
I need something to look at, but I.
That's fine, yeah.
We're done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else. Unless y'all have questions, like I said, I appreciate everybody coming. I had a blast doing this. I really enjoy it. So, if you have questions, you could either reach out to Rob, to the special interest group, or you could reach out on the Instagram page. I really encourage you to join the special interest group, because they do provide opportunities like this. The Savannah opportunity. We'll have probably some of the surgeons I work with are probably going to be speaking there or doing some dissections. We have a great team. I love working with them. Two of them are very cutting edge with their stuff, so they provide a different perspective. And they're great with answering questions. But I'll also be there, and some of my team. So thank you again for taking time out of your day to come and to watch us play around in here. But I'm glad that y'all learned something. Hopefully, learned something. So that's it. Yeah, Rob, you got anything?
Nope, that's
All
it.
right.
Thank you, everybody.